Welcome to the Awaken, Heal, and Thrive podcast. I'm Benjamin Bernstein, and today's episode is called The Inner Counselor Process with spiritual psychologist Shannon South. This episode is sponsored by my book, the #1 Amazon bestseller called Instant Divine Assistance, Your Complete Guide to Fast and Easy Spiritual Awakening, Healing, and More. Just go to Amazon and search for Instant Divine Assistance or click the link in the show notes. I publish both audio and video versions of Awaken, Heal, and Thrive, so take your pick. The video versions are on my YouTube channel called Benjamin Bernstein Podcasts. Be sure to subscribe to Awaken, Heal, and Thrive wherever you get it. And if you haven't already, be sure to click the link in the show notes for a chance to win a full year of my Awakening Plus online membership. That's a $189 value, and I announce a new winner every month. In fact, in this episode, I'm announcing the free winner for April 2023. So if you have entered to win, keep your ears peeled. I also want you to know that starting in May of 2023, I'll be dropping new episodes of Awaken, Heal, and Thrive 2 times per month around the 9th and 23rd. I hope to resume weekly episodes after I complete some time-sensitive projects. Here's what you need to know as we get into this episode. First, it's about an hour long, and Shannon South leads us in an amazing 19-minute process called the Inner Counselor. This starts just after the 16-minute mark, and you'll benefit most if you give it your full attention. If that's not possible, you can skip to our conversation afterward, which starts at 35 minutes, 20 seconds. But I strongly recommend that you go back and listen to the Inner Counselor process at your first opportunity, because it's really powerful and could be a game changer for your life. All the opportunities Shannon mentions are linked in the show notes, and be sure to listen all the way to the end of our conversation, because a lot of great insights get shared in the final minutes. So, without further ado, here's my extraordinary conversation with Dr. Shannon South. Welcome to Awaken, Heal, and Thrive. I'm Benjamin Bernstein, and I'm super delighted we have a very special guest today, Dr. Shannon South. Shannon, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Benjamin. So excited to be with you.
Yeah, I don't have guests very often, so when I do, it's very special, and this is a very special guest. Let me, in fact, tell you all a little bit about her. Dr. Shannon South is known as the Joy Doctor, and she is a source for people who are ready to experience more joy and empowerment in their lives after having a spiritual experience in 1994 that permanently healed her debilitating anxiety and depression. We're definitely going to talk about that. Her passion became helping others experience lasting joy. As a spiritual psychologist, an Amazon best-selling author, and an international trainer, she teaches others to ignite the power of their mind, body, and spirit. She's the creator of the Joy IQ and Ignite programs. Over 500,000 readers voted her best therapist in Western North Carolina. And her sites are, main site, I guess, is drshannonsouth.com, drshannonsouth.com. Okay.
That's the one.
So welcome again to the show, Shannon.
Thank you, Benjamin. It's a treat to be with you.
Yeah. And so people, some people are going, oh, should I listen to the rest of this podcast? What's in it for people to hear the rest of this, just in a nutshell, as we go forward? What are you going to be offering?
Well, I'm going to be sharing with you guys the best thing that I used with my clients over the last 20 years, a process called the Inner Counselor. Mm-hmm. And it's super valuable. It's energy psychology, spiritual psychology work, and it helps integrate a new pattern into your system. So it literally will rewire a new connection to your soul. So you will have access to that as you move forward with the energy of that and the quality of that, and bring that into your body, into your life much easier. So those things that have blocked that in the past will be removed.
Wow, awesome. But y'all are going to have to wait a few minutes because we've got some talking to do first.
No, let's dive in. I'm so excited to talk about this. My favorite topic, healing and awakening. Like you love talking about this.
Oh yeah, that's one reason I wanted to have you on, is we seem to be walking similar tracks and how we're helping.
I'm not surprised. We've been together before many times.
Oh, beautiful. So I'm sure a lot of people, what was this incredible spiritual experience you had that gave you this miraculous healing? Would you be willing to share about that?
Well, that's what motivated me to go get my doctorate in spiritual psychology, because I wanted to understand what the heck happened to me. But I was meditating one day, and I had been on medication. I'd been diagnosed with PTSD, anxiety, depression, all this stuff. And I was just a wreck. I couldn't sleep. I was a mess. And so I got into meditation. I was like, I want to meditate, not medicate. I was all this thinking. And so I went into the therapist's office, and she said, here, stare at a candle. I'll be back in 20 minutes. And I'm like, what? You got to be kidding me. So I stared at this candle and I was all mad. I'm like, I'm paying her to teach me. And she left the room, blah, blah, you know. And so she comes back in and she said, how did that go? I said, I don't know. And she said, well, that'll be $60. And I'm like, you know, kind of having a little. So I go back home and I'm sitting in my house and I did it. I was mad enough. I wanted to change so bad and I wanted to feel better. So I did it. And I stared at this candle religiously, day and night, day and night. I had my routines. And one day I decided I'm getting off my medicine. And so, and I don't advise this at home, by the way. I'm not giving any medical advice here, but I was looking at my candle and I was off the medicine and I started feeling the panic attack coming back. And I was like, this pressure on the chest, you know, the elephant feeling, just this horrible constriction. And I screamed out. I was like, if there's anything out there, help me. I can't do it alone anymore. Just was like so despairing. And all of a sudden, I just felt this energy come through my head, my face, my throat, my body. And it was like bliss and love and peace. And it like enveloped me. And I never had a panic attack again after that moment.
Wow.
And I thought, what the heck happened here? How in the world, what just happened? But I knew the cells in my body had changed at that moment. So then I was getting my master's in counseling at the time. And I thought, well, there's a lot more going on than counseling here. Do you know what I mean? So that's when I went on to get my doctorate after that in spiritual psychology. And I found out that was called a peak experience that Maslow, you know, the psychologist used to refer to. A lot of the spiritual psychology people used to talk about it. And we all can have that. We all have that available to us. And when we have that alignment, you know, mind, body, spirit alignment, things come in a new way. So that's what I learned to teach and train people in, as well as use with my clients. And it's pretty amazing stuff.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
that sounds like that peak experience piqued your interest.
It piqued my interest, changed the whole landscape, Benjamin.
So again, a lot of people may not understand what is spiritual psychology versus some other form of spirituality or psychology. Can you define that for people to help understand?
Absolutely. So the psychologist and the people started noticing that these spiritual yogis and these nuns and all these other, they were having these amazing mystical experiences. And they were like, what is going on over there? So I think, you know, they eventually all got together and started chatting about what's happening here, what's going on with energy and psychology and lining up. And they started working together. Imagine that. And they came up with what they call now spiritual psychology. You know, it has a lot to do with, you know, just the energetics of moving energy and how do you move it so you can get it aligned and heal it. And we know we heal with love. So we don't get rid of something. We include it and transcend it when we're healing it. So we bring it in and we honor the process of what's happened to help us survive. And then we move to another level of consciousness. So spiritual psychology is different because we actually intentionally call in and bring that to our intention. And we honor the whole self. We honor the shadow and the light. You know, Dr. Carl Jung talked about this for years. The capital S self is what he called it. And how do you bring in your capital S self so that you can access your higher nature, your higher self? And we can embody that with spiritual psychology. We can change the way the pathways run that we've been tangled in with our thinking or our emotions or our trauma or any kind of eddy we've been stuck in, right? Help unstick that so we can have access to, you know, with your interest in, you know, your incredible talent in astrology, we can have interest in new archetypes, right? New ways of being that we have resources to. So it's really cool to see that shift in people.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
So, what you've worked with, you know, thousands of people by now with your practice and groups and such. So what do you find is the most common scenario you see in a person? What's the typical problem of a person coming to you that needs the breakthrough or the resolution?
Sure. Well, we all have a ton of shame. So, you know, shame, self-hatred, fear, you know, those really create some deep tangles, you know, past trauma and abuse. You know, just working with a young boy who was just so defensive and angry and in survival and fighting because he'd been bullied and he'd been called names and all this stuff. And he'd built up this big wall, right? Screaming at his parents and whatever. And we did 3 sessions of this work and it just untangled all of that. And she said, we have our kid back. She said, tears. Like she said, he gets in the bed with us now and he snuggles us and able to access that compassion and love and that peace inside of him. And And the answers came from him. That's what I love about it, is I don't give people the answers. We go in and get the answers for you, because we are all that wise, right? We just have to know how to get that stuff out of the way. So it's trying to help us the best it knows, but then we need to untangle that. So shame is a big one, self-hatred, trauma, feeling unworthy of, and just getting in self-protection. We get self-protection to survive certain times in our lives that we just do. And so how we move that out of the way and work with that, we change our relationship to that, and the whole way that our energy and thoughts and feelings flow changes. So it's a beautiful thing.
Wow. So when you said capital S self from Carl Jung,
Yeah.
I've been a big fan of internal family systems therapy. I don't know.
Yes,
You familiar with that modality?
absolutely. This is like internal family systems on energy speed.
Whoa.
Yeah, you like bring in parts work, and you
Okay.
the great parts
Hmm.
to access the higher nature. You're going to get to see it. We're going to do it later,
Oh, I'm
but it's
excited.
really cool. Those conflicting parts, right? So sometimes you have a part that's trying to protect you, and but it's also overworking. So it's
Hmm.
your way of accessing love or peace or joy or that wisdom or groundedness that we need. And so it needs to kind of evolve and kind of
Hmm.
update for your current life. So we work with the part to bring in the other part that you really needed during the time that part overdeveloped or maybe underdeveloped.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Um, Now you put a big emphasis on joy in your descriptions. I know some people who might feel like that almost could seem like an impossible aspiration because they're just trying to get by, just trying to get rid of the heavy. Um,
Totally.
what do you say to people who say, well, joy seems like I can't even conceive of that. I just need to cope. How do you work with people who even the concept of joy just seems like it's too big a stretch for them at the moment?
Absolutely. Joy is like, something we can't force. So as we allow in the higher nature, it comes back naturally. It's already there. I always think of it like, these blocks are kind of like the windshield of life has just gotten so cluttered, you
Mm,
know. And as we clear the windshield of life, we clear the windshield, it just the sun comes back in, the joy comes back in, our divine nature comes back in,
mm,
accessible to us. And so it's basically about clearing and moving and changing the patterns so that the joy just is already there. It's just innately waiting. Yeah.
wow. Yeah, I use the metaphor of the great onion of consciousness.
Oh, right. Exactly.
Same idea where the what you want, the joy, the awakening is already there waiting on you.
Yes.
And you just got to get the stuff out of the way that your traumas have built up in the way of it, right?
Absolutely. It's all there. It's all there for us. Spiritual psychology is based on the fact that we have everything we need already.
Mm,
It's like the seed of the tree. And then all we have to do is create the environment
hmm.
necessary for that to bloom within us and around us. So that's really the basis of spiritual psychology.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm feeling I'm running out of questions because I'm starting to feel excited about doing your process.
Yay,
But
good.
before we do, you may have some intellectual groundwork you want to lay before we move into the actual experience. What else do you feel like needs to be shared before we move into the actual experience that we're going to have?
So all people will need to do is to just allow and
Hmm.
follow along. And what we'll do is we'll call in the higher nature, your higher self. And for some people, they have access to their creativity. Some people don't have a concept of that, and that's okay. I have some people come in, they're like, I'm not spiritual, but this is your podcast, so I'm not worried about that one. But it doesn't matter whatever you call it. It may be just the heart opening. So we'll be going in and inviting that aspect in, and then we'll be going into an old pattern that maybe just that you want some shift around, or you want to change your relationship with, and you want to feel lighter about.
Hmm.
And then we'll find out what that needs to help evolve into the new pattern. And we'll use that, we'll use the whole body. We're going to use the thoughts, the feelings, and we're going to use imagery, the sense of symbols, because we use symbols. I do want to lay the groundwork on this one. We
Okay.
use symbols because symbols are multidimensional and they
Mm,
access all aspects of our being. So, Carl Jung talked about this a lot, but symbols are very, very powerful, whether it's colors, images, things like that, a felt sense even. And so we just want to honor however that comes to you, because I'm guiding you. It may not come in the same way. It'll be different for everyone, how that felt sense shows up, but I'll give you options for that. So other than that, that's the basis of what we're going to be doing. And it's called the inner counselor. And the reason it's called the inner counselor is because your higher nature has the answers. And I'm going to be guiding you to those answers for you.
Okay. So it sounds like you're going to encourage us to be symbol-minded here.
That's right. There you go. There's the Benjamin I know. That was a good one.
Thank you. So any other mental groundwork before we do our process?
No, I'm just I'm ready to go.
Whoa, do you feel that energy coming in?
Yeah.
All right, I think it wants to happen. So, and again, we may have more discussion afterward. We'll see how it flows.
Yeah. I'd love to tell you about my bears.
And for the people who know me, I've never done this process before, so I'll be doing it along with everyone else. So
oh, good. Great.
Experience this.
Great.
Okay, we're in your hands. I'd love to experience this with you.
Wonderful. So I'm so grateful that you're here today, and just trusting and allowing whatever comes up to come up. There's no right or wrong. And as we go in, I just want you to find a place inside where you feel like you can just let go. Taking some long, deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. And just finding this safe place. You may be making it up, and that's fine. Or it may be a place you've been to before. Or it may be right here. And as you're there, just noticing if there are any colors, sights, sounds. Are you by yourself? Are there others there? And as you're there, I want you to invite in consciously your higher self, inviting that wise, loving, most creative aspect of you here, your highest nature. And as we're there, we're just going to move into an issue today. It may be an issue that's stressing you or bothering you, or that you feel like is holding you back from connecting with more love, joy, peace, whatever that is. Maybe something that you'd like to feel lighter about, have some more understanding about. But just kind of leaning into some kind of issue today. You don't have to know it exactly, just picking something as a focus point, and it will come to you more. And this may be a place that you want a different shift. You'd like a shift in this area. And then allowing and inviting in any supporters that want to be here with you. And just noticing. Could be people that have passed on, could be spiritual figures, could be animals, I don't know. Could be just your higher nature, and that's plenty. But just opening up to any supporters that want to be with you to help you with this specific issue. And thanking all of the support for coming. And again, if there's Nothing appearing, no worries. Your higher nature is plenty. It's always there. Now, when you look at this issue and you experience it, what kind of feelings come up for you? Are there feelings that come to mind around this issue? Stress or anger or sadness, maybe some heaviness, maybe some confusion. I don't know. Just notice what kind of feelings come up around the issue at hand. And then I want you to notice, where are these feelings in your body? Where do you feel these feelings the strongest? Maybe a place that you sense them. It may be all over, or there may be one or two places that stand out. Where are these feelings in your body? And if you're unsure, just make it up. The soul loves playfulness. Just make it up. Great. Now I want you to notice these feelings in your body and let them take you to any kind of memory we need to see, where you may have had this similar feeling before that's bothering you, or this issue that's bothering you. Just ride these feelings back. See if there's a memory that comes to mind where you had a similar feeling like this in your body. May have been yesterday. May have been a few years ago. I don't know. Just allow yourself to notice if there's a memory that we need to see. Doesn't have to be your biggest trauma in the world, just noticing. And it can be. I mean, if there's something there that you want to look at, I'm just going to dip our toe in today. And notice, is there a time you had the similar feeling in your body? And what do you see about yourself? Just notice yourself. What do you notice is going on with you there when you're having this feeling in your body? And then I want you to ask yourself, in that situation, what do you really deeply need? Like if you could just cry out, I really need blank, instead of this other experience. I really need blank. Like I really need peace instead of stress. I really need abundance instead of lack. I really need joy instead of fear. What is it that you really need? Support. But make sure it's an inner need. What do you really need? Not, it may be, I need these other people to change, or I need this not to happen. I get that, right? Or I need this outside thing to be different. But I really want you to look at what would help you inside the most. What do you really need? That if you had this thing, if you had love, if you had support, just noticing safety, how would that be? What do you really need? Cry out for that. Allow that to be there. And then if you'd gotten this need, how would that have been? We're just playing along, okay? It's like, oh, not what, impossible? What would that have been like, though, if you'd gotten this need? And then I want you to imagine, we're using your imagination a lot because it's your friend here, your friend and your foe, but it's your friend today. So I want you to put that old pattern in your left hand, that old feeling, that old stressor, that old issue, the one that came up, or this old memory and I want you to put it in your left hand. And I want you to imagine you could pull that old way up and out of your body. Just imagine you could just scoop it out of your stomach or scoop it right out of your body and let it take a shape or a color. What does that old way look like? What does it look like? Give it a shape, give it a color, texture, a feeling, state. And how has that old way helped you survive? How did it help protect you? How did it help you survive? Just notice. Sometimes this is hard for people. It's like, oh, I didn't. It just hurt me. I didn't want it or whatever. But just notice, how did it help you survive? Let's just honor it, doing the best that you could and can at the time. How did it help you survive? We really want to give it a lot of thanks for that. I know this may seem counterintuitive, but just roll with me. Just notice if there's a shape or a color. And then how did this help you survive this old way? And then I want you to thank it. I want you to truly thank it for helping you protect you or helping you survive or helping you have a place to put something. Sometimes that's just what our system knows to do. And we're glad you made it. I'm glad you survived, whatever it is, small or big. Glad you felt some kind of understanding. So I want you to ask that way, is it willing to try something new? Because you ask what your real need was. Is it willing to try something new? Like there may be a part of you that wants something different, clearly, because you mentioned this today. It came up for you. So ask it, is it willing to try a new way? And if it says, maybe, great. If it says, I'm curious. If it says no, just ask it. That's okay. We'll check back in with it in a minute. And then your real need, what if you could cry out for what you really needed, right? That real need, I want us to lean into that. I want you to put that in your right hand, that real need. What I really needed instead was, right, peace, love, joy, protection, abundance, whatever that was, connection. And then I want you to find that real need and I want you to lean into it in your right hand. So we've got two sides going here, right? I want you to find this real need and I want you to see, let it take a shape or a color. What does that real need look like? That new way that you wanted then and that you still want today. So what does that new way look like? Give it a shape, a color, see what form that it takes. We talked about symbols. See what the new way wants to show you. Beautiful. And let's ask this new way, is it willing to help the old way to transform, to help update it? You rather have this running the show than the other. So is it willing to help? And usually the new way is, right? And if you can also ask your supporters and your higher nature to come help you as well. So you have your new way in your right hand, your new image, your old one in the left hand. And I want you to imagine that you can put the new image in the old and let the new one absorb and transform the old image and the energy of that into something that works better for you now. So just imagine kind of like inner art therapy, right? You can put the two images together and allow them to transform into something that works better for you. Beautiful. Just notice what's happening. Is there a third image appearing? Are they trying to work together? Did the old one just go away? Are they resistant? If you got a new image, beautiful, just notice it. And I want you to just allow it to be with you. Really feeling it, that expansion. The new image usually comes in the form of expansion. And I want you to breathe that in, that new way, breathing that into your body. Out with the old. In with the new. Out with the old. In with the new. Out with the old. Beautiful. And those of you who have some resistance, I'm going to check in with you just a moment. That old part of you, if they're still dialoguing, I want you to ask it, what's it afraid of? What's it afraid if it were to let this new way run the show? What's it afraid would happen? So just checking in. And then honoring that fear. Thanking it. Telling it you get it. And then bringing the two together again, the left and the right, bringing them together and letting the new way absorb and transform the old, the new image. Absorb and transform the old image or color or felt sense, however that came to you. Beautiful. And this new way has some advice for each of you about the issue that you started with today. So I want you to think of that initial issue that came to you. And I want you to notice this new way has some advice specific to you for this issue. What does it want you to know? Beautiful. So breathe that advice in, thanking it for coming. Thanking your supporters for being here, your higher nature. And I want you to give this new way an intention. How do you want it to help you this week so that you'll know this new way is in charge instead of the old way? And checking into your body, I want you to check to see how your body feels. Noticing your body, noticing the shift. And if it still feels a little unbalanced, breathing in the new way again, right into that place in your body. So breathing it in, out with the old. We're not getting rid of it. We're just using it in a new way and using the energy in a new way. Breathing in the new. Beautiful. And out with the old. You continue that till you feel complete. In with the new. And out with the old. The breath is the great integrator. And then checking in again. How do you want this new way to help you so that you'll know it's in charge instead of the old? Give it some marching orders. It could be when I get in the situation, I'd like you to be there, or how do you want it to help you? This trigger comes up again. I'd like to feel this other thing instead. Beautiful. Setting that intention. Thanking yourself, thanking your higher nature, taking your new image and symbol back to your safe place that we started with and giving it a place of honor. And may all the cells of your body know you are created by this new way. You are surrounded by this new way. You are protected by it, and you are growing into it every moment. Thanking yourself, thanking your highest self. And if you want to thank your supporters or see if they have anything else they want you to know before we end, just checking in with them because they came for you for a reason. So checking in. I want to always honor them. Giving them a hug and some gratitude for being here. You may want to say something to them to you. Beautiful. And as you feel ready, breathing in from your toes all the way to your head, knowing this new way is guiding you and supporting you, and there's nothing you need to do with it anymore. You've set it in motion, and all is done. Aho.
Wow, I felt that strongly. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You are welcome, Benjamin.
Mm. Hmm.
Did you have a good experience?
Yeah, I'm just buzzing. I appreciated. I saw the imagery in the hands and felt the energetic shift.
Beautiful.
Um, on the experiential level, I really appreciated the very powerful energetics of it, and
Good.
my intellect was appreciating the touches of IFS I saw here and there in the process. You can agree?
Wonderful. Yes, yes. The parts work. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that was just beautiful.
I'm so glad.
So I guess they could come back to this episode and just repeat that process as often as they
Oh,
wanted to. Yeah.
absolutely. That process, is a diamond. And
Mm,
there's 30 plus or more years of research on it. It really shows a decrease in anxiety and depression, an increase in time competence, meaning your ability to be in the present moment,
mm,
increase in your sense of self. So, like, thyself more, your knowings are in
mm.
charge, instead of that old fear or shame or whatever kind of thing that gets in the way. And it really integrates the higher nature into the system. So it's a really powerful ditty. So yeah, I use it again and again.
Is this inner counselor system, is this your creation?
No, I was trained by Dr. Ann Nunley, and she was an incredible spiritual psychologist and artist.
Mm-hmm.
She and her husband created this process.
Mm,
And Anne no longer teaches and trains it, but I followed her all over. Like, I was like
mm.
her little puppy dog. I want to know everything, all about it, right? And so Anne no longer does it because she's of her age.
Mm.
She kind of said, Shannon, take it over, go,
Wow.
go. Yeah. And I've just enjoyed every moment of it. I just remember the first time I trained with them, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this is a way to truly let something go. Like,
Mm,
I have to like seep in it and soak in it for years, right? That I can truly, there's an energetic opening to really release it. And I could feel that immediately with the work.
mm.
And I just appreciate them so much. And I studied with Dr. Carolyn Mays. She worked with Dr. Ann Nunley on some of this, and Dr. Norman Shealy, that whole group. So
That's a pretty good pedigree.
good crowd.
I
Good crowd. I think they know what they're doing.
think so.
So yeah, it's got a lot of research behind it. And it's just a great, great thing.
Huh.
Yeah.
Do you believe that healing is the fastest road to awakening?
I do. I do. I believe we desire wholeness again. We come back and we want to be back there, so we get all the perfect experiences to help us get there again, as we allow and learn how to move the energy and work with what we're dealing with. I think sometimes we feel punished by the negative that feel negative, the shadow stuff. However, it's really there like manure to the garden to
Mm,
really bloom us and push us and evolve us if we know
mm,
how to move it. Like in this process, it moves energy, it moves patterns, it honors and allows. So, in my individual work with clients, we go into more memories and we go deeper
mhm.
sometimes when there's time for that.
Right.
But it's powerful in the short, Anne used to say 20 minutes is all you need, you
Mm,
know, this stuff works like that. Bruce Lipton calls energy psychology super learning.
ha.
Yeah, because it really does access all those levels. And so we can grease those pathways the more we do this
Mm,
to let go and move. And because our symbol and our imaginatory nature, our creative nature, it doesn't have to be painting, drawing, all that stuff, just our
mm,
creativity, right? Our wiser
mhm.
self is so creative and it's solution focused.
Yeah.
So it wants us to have the answers, and it gives us all these things that we have naturally to do that.
Mm,
Just need to know how to line them up to have those breakthroughs. And there's lots of ways to do that, right? But this is one very powerful way.
I agree. Yeah, I feel this is very complementary to the work I do.
I believe that
Yeah.
I've just felt intuitively to reach out to you. It was bizarre like that. Why do we call it bizarre? It's natural like that, right?
Let's just call it synchronistic.
There you go. Synchronistic like that. I still love getting wowed by it all.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
this feels like a really good energetic companion.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, Anne used to give us a little DVD back in the day, and she would give it to us to practice on ourselves.
Hmm.
And I love bringing it into the counselors and the coaching world because it gives a new, faster way to help people get to these things, to the root of the issue, much quicker, and then to shift the energy of it, and work with the beliefs and the feelings and all that in the body.
Hmm.
So I really like that. I love that it hits them all.
Yeah, and it's an approach. There's not a lot of language that's going to offend people with different belief systems and things.
Right.
It's yeah. So it's very, it feels gentle, and yet I can feel the potential that it could be very powerful when someone's ready for a big opening too.
You are so right. She calls it updrafts. And you can see like in spiral dynamics, like there'll be sometimes you'll just spiral up, to another level of consciousness. And sometimes it's like, whoo, the doors blow off, So you just can't, promise anybody what their experience is going to be,
Hmm.
because between them and their higher nature as to when and how that's all going to come together. But there's always an up leveling of consciousness and a more resourcing for the person so that they can feel that resource within. It really is based on the energy meridians of the system.
Oh.
Like energy psychology is. Energy psychology is not an uncommon thing. There's other energy psychology modalities, lots of
Hmm.
them, but this is my favorite. So,
Oh.
yeah.
So I'm so glad to be sharing this with our audience. Yeah, this is potent.
Thanks.
So let's say someone wanted to say, "Oh, I love this thing Shannon's doing. I want to learn more about her." How would people dive deeper into the things that you're offering? Whether they can do it just as a resource on your side or working with you more directly. What are their options?
Yeah, I do have a private practice. And so they're welcome to reach out to me on my website, drshannonsouth.com. But I also have, if they just want to dip their toe in and do some self-healing, I have a monthly program that I offer that's called Soul Shine.
Hmm.
And it allows people to just, really work with themselves using this kind of modality, the energy psychology, the knowings, integrating the higher nature into their being. And each week I send out transformational exercises for them to do that.
Hmm.
So it's really fun. And then we get together once a month for a master class and we learn some new things. Like I just did one on codependency, how codependency gets us so out of balance and out of whack when we're focusing on the external, trying to get our needs met too much and, twisting ourselves into 1,000 pretzels, and how we can bring ourselves, back to our own inner nature,
Hmm.
and our own inner rhythm, and honor that. And that's actually good for everybody else. Right. So we have master classes with different themes like that, trauma, connecting to the soul, things like that. So Soul Shine is the thing. And I've created a special offer if they want to sign up for that program. I will put them in a drawing for my dear friend created a Soul Shine bracelet.
Oh,
So they're so pretty. They're like a little sunshine.
huh.
And I just love them. They mean confidence, courage, and self-worth. Handmade in Asheville.
Hmm.
Uh, Sacred Celebrations is her business. But anyway, I'll put people in this drawing and I will send someone a beautiful Soul Shine bracelet, they're pretty for anyone, male, female, they, them, whatever.
Wow.
They're a beautiful little thing. And so, yeah, the monthly membership's great. And then I also teach practitioners. So I have trainings 2 or 3 times a year. It's called soul-based practice. So
Hmm.
I help counselors and coaches who want to take their work to another level, to a deeper level, and learn more about spiritual and energy psychology. And so I teach them through a training called soul-based practice.
Hmm.
So if any practitioners are interested in that, they can go to that. But the Soul Shine is underneath my website under the events page.
Okay.
So people can find that there. And then soul-based practice will be up soon, because it's happening in the fall again. So
Okay. And again, we're recording this in late April of 2023, just
oh,
for
yes,
reference.
good. Right.
This episode is going to be up forever.
Right. So it'll be happening like 2 or 3 times a year. So it'll be on there. Soul-based practice doesn't change.
Cool.
But yeah, Soul Shine, soul-based practice, you get the drift.
Cool. Yeah, and just to give a shout out to the people who follow me, I've known Shannon for God, it seems like almost 20 years
Oh,
in
wow.
here in Asheville. I mean, our paths have crossed many times at different spiritual activities around Asheville. Asheville's a hotbed for that kind of thing. And I've
Right.
always had a really great vibe off Shannon. And it's been actually a few years since we've really had much meaningful connection, but you've obviously deepened so much since
Oh,
my last connection with you. I can just feel how much more profoundly awakened you are, and stronger in your light work and all that. So, um,
appreciate that.
I just want to let folks know that Shannon just isn't someone I happen to have on the show. She comes with like full confidence and recommendation, and I can tell from her vibe and what she's just done and what we've done today that she's the real deal. And if you feel resonance with her, please reach out to her because
Oh,
she
thanks,
clearly
Benjamin.
is walking her talk here.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, Benjamin gave me one of the best readings I've ever had. My husband and I, do you remember you gave my husband and I a great astrology reading? And I think you told him if he ever tried to control me, this relationship would be over. And you know what he told me? He said,
Right.
that was the best advice I ever got. So thank you for helping my marriage years ago when you gave me that
Oh,
reading, Benjamin. And then we've danced together. You're a great dancer. And we've
oh,
done sweat lodges. We've had a lot of fun times in the
yeah,
past. Been a long time though since we've connected, but it feels great to be with you again.
yeah. So I'm so glad we reconnected.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm feeling moving toward closure, but I want to make sure you throw in anything else you feel would be important for the audience to experience from you right now.
Yeah, well, I just want to say to people, you are so much more than your trauma. You're so much more than the pain body that you may be, stuck in any kind of way. And just know that it is absolutely easy and possible. And the potential is always there to access your higher self and to embody it, to bring that in for healing. So don't give up on even those stubborn patterns that you may be navigating. I always say to people, this stuff breaks through stubborn patterns that people even have been dealing with for years. So it bypasses the mind. Spiritual psychology is called beyond the mind.
Mm.
Our mind is great, right? We like it, and then it drives us crazy sometimes. But this goes beyond the mind, which I love, and into the levels of consciousness that are always there trying to help us. And so that's adds a whole new level of healing to the palette of the journey, and it just puts words to it, and it puts a way to access it to it. So you don't have to do thousands of hours of yoga, even though that's great, but you can embody these things, with different ways. So just don't give up on yourself and the process in the ways that the things that you think maybe just, I'll never recover from something like this. There's all potential and possibility always.
Yeah, I'll just piggyback on what you said. What my modalities in your share is that they turn the heavy lifting over to the divine part.
Absolutely.
Because so what you've done, I do these little simple invocations. Your process is fundamentally sort of a more complex invocation, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, by holding those visions, I didn't have to imagine those. I just saw them. The
There you
images
go.
that were in that field. So I love how you keep enough ego involvement to keep people in their comfort zone if they're still ego based,
Yes.
and yet opens the door to the divine energy to come in and assist them in a beautiful way. So yeah, I
I
love
love
the
what you're
modalities.
saying.
Yeah.
In Anne's chart, she shows this beautiful progression of moving beyond the personality wounds and into the self-realization and then into the enlightenment. You
Hmm.
know, really a path towards enlightenment, as we know, and getting lighter, lightening up.
Yeah.
So, so how we move and those personality wounds, or personality tangles are there to help us. It's a great thing, the love is always wins though.
Yep. Yeah, that's what in the Gandhi movie. He says, no matter how dark things get, the light always triumphs in the end, right?
Oh man, it always wins. So it's great to have that process at our fingertips to be able to reach that with the things you're doing, the invocations and the healing you're doing, as well as with spiritual psychology modalities and all these other things. It's really my favorite thing.
Mine too. Yeah, I also want to comment. You seem to have, well, you do. You have genuine enthusiasm for what you're doing,
Thank you.
and
I'm
that's
a
always
little
the
bit
mark
obsessed, Benjamin.
of someone who's really doing their genius work.
Oh, thank
And
you.
my allies are asking me to share one thing. Also, I'm sensing that some people who are at this point in our podcast are thinking, well, it's just too difficult. The obstacle seems too huge.
Yeah.
And my experience, and I wanted to check in with you, your experience. my experience has been the greater the obstacle when mastered, the greater the breakthrough.
You got it. I just got a huge chill. Good God bump on that one. Yes. Yes. Those darkest times are those really chronic patterns. When they lift and when they heal, it is something. You know, I think that's what happened with me, is I'd been struggling for so long.
Mm.
And just, trauma in my childhood, just not sleeping, and my lifestyle wasn't that great, just a lot of pain.
Mm.
And, the breakthrough was enormous. It changed my whole life. So, of course I still have stress, right? But I have, incredible new ways to operate with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for people who think, oh my gosh, there's no out on this one, this is just my dharma. I had a client the other day, he said that, he goes, this is just my lot. This is just my dharma. I have to accept it. Absolutely not. We have so much more power to relate to something. It may be, yeah, part of your plan, right? Right. That's maybe true, but how you relate to that and the consciousness that you are able to bring to that is the game changer. That's the game changer. So don't give up on your consciousness, because it does not give up on you.
Yeah, I'm being called to share a couple of more things, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
Some people use the metaphor of a slingshot, the rock and the rubber band thing.
Wow.
And in a sense, the further back you're able to pull that rubber band before you release.
Ooh, I love this one.
This is like, that's the tension you're feeling and the challenge.
Yes.
You're all pulled back, right? And it feels terrible. But then when you release it, the further back you went, the farther the rock flies, right?
Wow, that is exactly what's happening in this process. Yes, it's beautiful. And sometimes we go back to like even pre-verbal memories, right? Or even a past life when we're back there, right? Who knows where we are on the timeline? And we evolve that, and the rock flies, and then we land in a totally different place with our consciousness. Beautiful example. I love that, Benjamin. Yes.
And the one other thing they're asking me to share is one of my favorite things to say lately is, a level of consciousness cannot comprehend a level beyond itself.
Ooh.
Which is another way of saying you have no idea how good it can get.
Oh.
So I've had enough awakenings in my own trajectory to know that it's like the great teacher Adyashanti has a great saying. He says, if you have an awakening and it's what you expected, it's not a real awakening. Because it's literally incomprehensible until you're there. And even then the mind can't get it because it's beyond mind, right?
That is so beautiful what you just said, because when I'm doing this process with people, they're usually like, that's weird. I thought I was done with that. Or, oh, what the heck is that? That's when I know they're really on it. Because they don't really know where they're going. And then they don't understand the symbol. They're like, well, that's strange. I mean, it's not always like that. But when they're really out of that, like you said, they don't really know. They're in this new place. It's like, blah, blah, blah. A little discombobulating, right?
At first. Yeah. But I just want people to know that there are levels of bliss, ecstasy, euphoria, extraordinary being that you literally couldn't imagine if you made it a full-time job. But once you get there, it'll just be the natural normal.
Absolutely.
And I know you've had many breakthroughs like that. You described one of them. So I just want to encourage people, if they're still feeling discouraged, even after all this, I'll just tell you, if you just persevere using her tools, my tools, whatever tools get you there, you just can't imagine how amazing it gets.
Don't give up.
And it is possible for anybody. So no one is permanently stuck unless they just choose to be,
That's exactly it. It takes determination and paying attention to the open doors, because sometimes something is happening right in front of us, but we're so mired down in that survival pattern,
right?
That we're not even seeing it. Like one day I was thinking about something I really wanted and needed. It was happening right then, Benjamin. And I was so mired down and thinking about something. And then I was like, whoa, like I just had to kind of look up. I was like, it's happening right now. Oh my God, like, let it in. Yeah, it's happening. And I was all down in the problem solving. And I was like, whoa, it's happening right in front of my face. But I was like, my attention was somewhere else. So yeah, this stuff is hilarious that way.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad we got those extra pieces of those that's important for some people who are going to be experiencing this. Absolutely. So again, everything that Shannon has mentioned is going to be linked in the show notes, or is linked in the show notes. And again, the site is drshannonsouth.com. So I'll spell it all the way out. drshannonsouth.com, right?
Yes, and I have a free quiz to help you They're subconscious survival traps. So people
Ooh.
like to take little quizzes. It's really fun. They get a little ebook and it helps them find out what's their biggest trap that's in their subconscious mind, which is
Mm.
really what the body holds. The body holds the subconscious,
Hmm.
and it's our wisdom keeper. So we want to get into that subconscious mind to help, updraft into the higher nature. That's really the ticket, going down to rise up.
Mm.
So the ebook helps you to identify your subconscious survival trap and ways you can break through that. So it's it's on the front page of my website as well. And the site is sevensurvivaltraps.com is the
Mm.
site for the quiz.
So seven spelled out SEVEN.
Seven like the number.
Oh, the seven number. Numeral
Yeah.
7 survivaltraps.com. Okay, good.
Sevensurvivaltraps.com. Yep.
We'll link that too.
Yeah, those are the main themes I've seen in my practice over the years that really hold people back from
Mm.
really allowing in their highest nature. It's crazy, but we all, we've probably all done many of them.
Yeah. Human at all.
Absolutely.
All right. So any closing sharing before we wrap this up?
No, I'm just grateful for all the light you're shining to the world and all you're doing. I just am blown away by all your amazing programs and your commitment to this. I mean, you're an amazing being, Benjamin. And
Takes one to know one.
And I'm so happy to be here with your group, and would love to have, any of them on Soul Shine or help them any way that I can.
Yeah, I feel like what you're doing would be totally complementary to my Awakening Plus program or anything else I do. Yeah, cool. All right. So, Shannon, thanks so much again for being with us. You've been very generous with your time, and I know that some folks who are hearing this are going to be benefiting from what you do. Thank you.
So glad. All right. Take good care of yourself, sweetie.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, Benjamin.
My book now has 110 ratings on Amazon. Woo! And I'm delighted by the latest 5-star review. It's from P. Neary and is titled No BS, The Invocations Work. They say, up until 2 months ago, I was a complete atheist. I learned some things that completely changed my perception of the world and beyond. This book is by far the fastest way to start experiencing divine intervention with all the benefits and no negatives. It's so simple. Just say the invocations Benjamin provides. I didn't even focus on the meaning of the words the first time I said them. I just read them verbatim and closed my eyes. I physically felt the energy from my higher self enter into my head and illuminate my third eye. This book should be read by everyone. It's a gift to humanity that's value is far beyond whatever the price of this book is. End quote. Wow. Thank you for those amazing words. My book is a #1 Amazon bestseller and is called Instant Divine Assistance, your complete guide to fast and easy spiritual awakening, healing, and more. The ebook is only $3.99 and it's included with Kindle Unlimited, and you can get the paperback for $12.99. Also, the events in my Awakening Plus online membership range from bubble bath gentle to shamanically intense. They support your individual healing and awakening, as well as global spiritual awakening. We also have community-focused events where members ask questions and connect with each other. Not a member yet? Join one of our free events. 2 are open to the public each month. Experience how Awakening Plus can accelerate your personal evolution. Hundreds of satisfied members make up our supportive online community. Would Awakening Plus also be a good fit for you? As of April 2023, members receive these exclusive benefits. At least 9 of our monthly Zoom events are members only. Some members attend lots of live events, while most don't do any. Many members prefer to experience our events when it's best for them, choosing from an archive of over 550 life-transforming experiences. Amazingly, the recorded events are just as powerful as the live ones. We even have an easy-to-use best of guide to help you choose the event that will help you most right now. There's 3 major courses so far, with more coming. There's a members helping members service. You can pair up with an accountability partner if you wish, and you get constant support from the Awakening Plus group energy field. And that's not even all the benefits. Click the link in the show notes to learn more, or visit awakeningplus.com. That's awakeningplus.com. Speaking of Awakening Plus, it's time to announce the April 2023 winner of the free 1-year membership. And the winner is Demetrius. Only one person named Demetrius has entered to win. So if that is you, Demetrius, and you're listening to me right now, email me, benjamin@astroshaman.com, and we will get you set up with your free 1-year membership. Congratulations. And remember, if you have entered and you're listening, we will announce a new winner every month. So keep your ears peeled, and one of these months, it might be you. Thanks for being here. Once again, I'm Benjamin Bernstein, and we're wrapping up. Please leave me a 5-star rating, review, or comment wherever you get this episode so that others can also awaken, heal, and thrive. And be sure to click that link in the show notes for a chance to win 1 free year of my Awakening Plus online membership. Thanks again for spending this time with me. I wish you infinite blessings.